Hi.
Hello, miss.
Kirk, you don't have to keep calling me miss.
I think he's a bit overawed by your new job title. What was it again? Senior Knicker Flogger?
Senior sales advisor, actually.
Oh, did you get a badge with that?
No badge.
Pity. Anyway, best get back to work. Seems though half a dozen people are off and I'm pretty much doing everything on my own. Come on, Kirky.
Hi, miss.
The talk of the street.
Talk of the street.
The talk of the street.
Talk of the street.
The talk of the street.
Talk of the street.
The talk of the street.
Talk of the street.
Hello and welcome to episode 167 of The Talk of the Street, an unofficial Coronation Street catch-up podcast that was surprised to see that despite being good at art, Nina awarded the commission of Seb's mural to a cow with a brush in her mouth who had never once seen Seb. I'm Gavin.
And I know how to show my baby a good time.
Well,
by taking him to
join
Cleveland.
us next week. Well, we haven't had it yet, so you don't know.
Well, I know it'll be a good time because it involves etchings by Edward Hopper, so how can it not be a good time?
Right. His paintings, I think, are more famous than his etchings.
Right.
I've seen a few of his etchings before.
Mm-hmm.
They're good because they're Edward Hopper, but
right.
You know,
yeah,
they're no Nighthawks.
Right. Well,
but
again,
still,
not all of his paintings are Nighthawks. However,
No.
he is your favorite artist.
I would say so.
So I
When we saw Daniel and Daisy talking about art
yeah.
tonight, yeah, I would have taken a little shout for Hopper there.
Yeah, well, they were talking about abstract artists, though. And Edward Hopper is not an abstract artist.
No, it's definitely not.
Definitely not. But yeah, it's Gav's birthday next week, and so
Huzzah!
for Gav's birthday, I am taking him
75 years young.
to the beautiful city of Cleveland.
Cleveland?
And it's hilarious because
Cleveland?
I took you to Cleveland for your birthday before. This is the second time I've taken you to Cleveland for your birthday.
Right.
Because 2 years ago, we went to Cleveland to go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and a Zombies concert.
Right. Who I didn't think I'd heard of, but as it turned out I had. And
Yeah,
I
'cause
knew quite a few of their songs.
One of their songs is one of our songs.
We've gone from Cleveland to Indianapolis to Cleveland. I'm looking forward to Omaha next year.
Well, it's tough because we really don't have any more dead presidents that are weekend close.
No, not a weekend close. No.
And we're already going to be going on another week-long trip back to Connecticut for our niece's wedding in a few weeks. So we couldn't really do a weeks-long vacation for either one of our birthdays.
No.
So, I had to get creative and do a lot of research on the internet to find something that you like that
Helen,
I can take you to.
Cleveland.
I tried to see if there were any concerts of artists that you like that would be happening this weekend that would be fairly close. Because I've already, for Father's Day, I bought Gav tickets to a concert that won't happen until next year.
Right. So, we may all be dead by then. But.
So I wanted to do something and I looked at a few bluegrass festivals in Michigan.
Oh.
And they were all kind of pricey.
Yeah.
And also nobody were people that you'd really heard of. So it would be a big risk.
Yeah,
So
I don't adapt well to change.
you really don't.
Or new things.
So then, I had to resort to Edward Hopper exhibits for these dates. And success. Cleveland. Yay.
You've done it again, Cleveland.
Yes. Yeah. I was thinking of maybe even doing that immersive Van Gogh thing in
I was thinking about doing that for years.
Detroit. Yeah, I was kind of surprised we didn't do that for mine. But I liked what we did for mine.
Yeah.
Anyway, and that's the tickets for the Van Gogh thing are $42 a person.
Are they really?
Yeah.
See, I didn't choose that because then it would have been Detroit 2 years running for you. So, and that's arguably worse than Cleveland, Indianapolis. Cleveland.
Oh, that's right. We did go to Detroit for my birthday last year. We went to Belle Isle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A good time was had by all. We got out the house.
Yes. Yeah. And that was basically all you can do. And basically that's all we're going to be able to do, I think, for the next
little
while. Kids are going to have to wear masks to school now, even though they're vaccinated, which is fine.
Yeah. As long as they're going to school.
Right. Yeah. They'll actually be leaving the house. So that's a step in the right direction.
Right. So we're heading out tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning, bright and squirrely. That's why we're doing the podcast on a Friday night.
I think it's a 3.5 hour drive, I think.
Yes.
So it's not too bad.
No. We will stay over, though, just so we can have a nice dinner and kind of relax and enjoy the sights of Cleveland. Drive down that street with all the flags again.
Right.
We really like that street with all the flags.
That'll take like 5 minutes, but sure.
Find a movie theater.
Yeah, things I would like to do are pretentious art. I'd like to be as pretentious as possible this weekend. I'd like to be pretentious about food.
Okay.
And I'd also like to be pretentious about a movie. So long as we can do
absolutely
art, food, movie.
So we're not going to see that new Ryan Reynolds movie this weekend then?
I can be pretentious about it. I can pretend to be above it. Actually,
you already are. It does look really funny. You already are above it. We can wait and save that for next weekend. We can find like a art house Cleveland cinema,
right,
and watch something pretentious. Like, arguably that Anthony Bourdain documentary was slightly pretentious because we watched a documentary in a theater, and that's always a little pretentious, isn't it?
Yeah, and some of it was in black and white.
Yeah.
And some of it was in French.
Yes.
Yeah, that was pretentious as fuck. Shall we preamble then, my dear?
Yes, please.
Give us some of that pretentious Corrie news.
Oh, that worked out really nicely. It's a Friday night. You're all twisty-turny.
It's always funny.
Topsy-turvy. Katie McGlynn is set to strap on her dancing shoes and join the cast of Strictly Come Dancing.
She is one of 2 out of 12 or 13 that I know.
Not all of them have been announced yet.
I think 12 out of the 13 have. Or the last one is as announced today. Because I looked at the 12th one earlier on. But I know Katie. Oh God, I can't remember the other person I know. Oh, Robert Webb. So I know Robert Webb from that Mitchell and Webb look.
Right, yes.
And I know Katie. And the rest of them might as well be people at my work, for all I know.
Right. That happens.
So anyway, she's going to be dancing.
Yes, she's going to be dancing. Like a ghost. Risen from the dead onto the dance floor.
She's in Hollyoaks now.
Is she?
Your research didn't... Cleveland. Didn't go that far into what else she's doing. She's in Cleveland. She's playing...
She's in Cleveland?
No, she's in Hollyoaks.
She's in Hollyoaks?
We're going to Hollyoaks for my birthday.
Dollywood?
What?
I just sold a box to a lady in Pigeon Forge. It's kind of funny. So yes, good luck to her. She says she's not a very good dancer. That she's like Bambi on ice when she tries to dance.
See, I think I'd imagine it would be like that.
Yeah.
Did you ever see her on that stand-up comedian thing that she was on?
Yeah, she's quite good at that, I thought.
She got better. She definitely got better, yeah.
Yeah, I really liked her on that. But we have seen her dancing on Coronation Street, and, it reminds me of...
jive thing, isn't she?
Elaine from Seinfeld. So...
Good luck, Katie.
Yes, good luck, Katie. Mikey North, Sayer Khan, and Julia Golding swapped the Rovers for the Red Lion in Loughton last Saturday for a meet and greet with fans at an event to raise awareness for drugs and alcohol addiction.
Oh, very good.
Yes. And Mikey North even got to go behind the bar and pull a pint.
So where was this about?
Loughton.
Loughton.
Yeah.
Do you know where that is?
No. Somewhere in the United Kingdom.
Right.
Hopefully someplace rather close to Manchester, I would imagine.
Loughton. I've never heard of it either.
Well, then it must be someplace in England then.
I've heard of English places. I'm fairly well travelled.
You're more aware of places in Scotland, though.
Loughton. How are you spelling that?
Lawton.
Oh, God. L-A-W.
L-O-W. Loughton.
L-O-W.
Not Lawton.
This is gold. L-O-W.
T-O-N. Why do we even have to know?
Oh, it's in Warrington.
Okay.
That doesn't help you, but
That
it helps
doesn't help me at all.
Yeah, it's a bit further south than I thought it was.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's not. It's absolutely slap bang between Manchester and Liverpool.
Oh, well, there you go. Very nice.
I can actually hear people that are listening to this in the future
Yelling at us.
screaming.
Apparently, they were very nice and they signed autographs, and everybody said that they were really down to earth and good people. And I imagine, I can't imagine them not being good people.
Right.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah. Unlike other
See,
stars of the silver screen.
Oh, right, okay.
Finally, in Maybe You Shouldn't news, former Corrie actor Sean Ward participated in an anti-vax protest at Television Centre. He also got into a Twitter war with Piers Morgan, calling Piers a silly old clown, which is just proof that a broken clock is right at least once a day. And that's Corrie news.
That's Corrie news.
That's Corrie news. To be fair to Piers Morgan, for once, he was saying that it was a stupid, selfish thing to do to be protesting the vaccine and stuff.
Was he part of these people that tried to get into the BBC, even though the BBC are no longer in that building?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, well, that's all
He
you
was
need
like
to know about
on
that.
the front line, wearing a beanie hat.
Oh, they deserved all he gets then.
Yes. It's just a stupid thing to do anyway, isn't it?
Well, I don't want to get too knee-deep in
We've
this.
both been vaccinated, and our children have all been vaccinated. We are for the vaccine.
Well, yeah, but they were protesting. It seemed like they were protesting lockdown after lockdown had finished, which just
No, it was an anti-vax protest. So it wasn't about lockdown. It was about, certain schools and stuff requiring kids to get vaccinated, although it's still kids 12 and older. So whatever. Anyway, that's Corrie news.
And now we'll podcast for coffee. Now you can set this up as a competition last week, inadvertently.
And you won, as I wanted you to.
Thanks to Canadian Helen for buying us our coffees this week.
Woohoo!
Gavin and Helen, hope you enjoy a coffee from me, Canadian Helen, says Canadian Helen. I love that. Loving the podcast very much. Happy birthday to Gavin.
Happy birthday.
Thanks also to Trisha
Yes.
for our coffees this week. Happy birthday, Gavin, and happy belated to Helen.
Aw.
You two are the best. Thanks for one of my favourite shows. Thank you so much, Trisha. And
Thank you
so much,
you.
Canadian Helen, for our coffees this week.
Yes, I am not drinking coffee.
No, it's too late to drink coffee.
I'm drinking
Except I'm drinking coffee.
Yes, I'm drinking a cup of milk out of one of my Kate Spade Let It Snow cups that the Let It Snow has washed off after like 1 or 2 washes in the dishwasher, which just goes to show that Kate Spade, or this Kate Spade company, should stick to purses and shoes.
Yeah, it's a Timbot t-shirts all over again.
Yeah. But you are drinking...
I'm drinking cutie
You're drinking
coffee.
cutie coffee. And a Gosling's Diet ginger beer.
Right.
Because you fancy. I have heartburn, that's why I'm not drinking coffee. It has nothing to do with the time of day. Just in case anybody was wondering why I'm drinking milk and not coffee.
Anyone?
Anyone? Bueller?
Were you wondering that?
Bueller?
You. Yes, you. Were you
Bueller?
wondering that?
What's
if
Tim?
so, drop us a line.
Was Tim Butt wondering that?
Well, that was great.
There you go.
There we go.
Tim Butt cares about my heartburn. Thank you, Tim Butt.
Yeah, thanks for the coffees. If you want to buy us next week's coffee, where neither of us are having a birthday, you can go to ko-fi.com. That's ko-fi.com/the talk of the street, and we will very much appreciate it. I appreciate everyone who's bought us coffees so far this year. I can barely
lovely.
remember the last time I had to buy one coffee, which is which is nice.
It's lovely.
Makes me feel dead fancy in that.
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
And now, this.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Oh, welcome to Last Year Tonight with me, John Oliver. Just enough time to quickly talk about It's All Getting a Bit Alpha.
Kirk said this, didn't he?
That's right, this was Sean's observation on a standoff between Gary and Adam. Oh, it's all getting a bit alpha, he said. And then he did that thing where his body turns round and his head has to catch up with it. I was Gavin and you were taking me to Indianapolis today. I think we've covered that sufficiently so far, haven't we?
Yeah.
We were hugely excited about getting out of Dodge for a couple of days. We decided live on the podcast that you would be the one to go pick up the kids in Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. It's good that we decide these things live on the podcast.
We're both going to Connecticut to pick them up. We're also bringing the adult child and the dog.
I reveal how I've been driving my normal commute without going into work. We watched The Lighthouse, which I kept wanting to call The Windmill, and this marked a new low in our living room cinema club.
I liked The Lighthouse.
I think it had a little bit too much Robert Pattinson
Masturbating with a toy.
David delivers the best one-syllable line of dialogue so far this year as Gary grows increasingly worried that Sarah has spilled his murderous beans. Abby calls on Saint Sebastian to put in a good word with social services and let her see the twins one last time. That didn't really work out. Bernie finds Chesney wandering lost and aimless at Dev's and learns about Gemma's rekindling of a friendship. That was those horrible people. Faye once more descends the stairs of knowledge and gets a glimpse of Tim's dad's dark side. Steve threatens Nina with a frozen sausage and Imran gets a casserole. Our moment of the week was David deadpanning ox as he overhears Gary admit to loving Sarah ahead of his wedding with Maria. That was a one-syllable line thing.
Ox.
And our boring moment of the week was Dev talking about sardine tins. And that was Coronation Street and the Talk of the Street, this time last year. Shall we dive in, my dear?
Yes, please.
Our first storyline this week is the Platts Fun Hit and Run. On Monday, it's 5:15 int flaming morning. David catches Shona sneaking in. She's done something rash. She saw the empty space outside the house and went to move the car, got distracted by a slipper under the clutch, and she thinks she hit someone. So she and David go off to investigate. This was the strangest start to the week I can remember.
It was a very cold opening.
It felt like we'd missed an episode, and I don't think I'm the only one that thinks that.
Yeah, it was a very cold opening.
Because normally when people get run over, you kind of see it. And even though the pandemic and COVID, etc., we've had road traffic accidents already, and I don't think it would really require very much to do the...
Well, I think that they wanted a little mystery as to what, if anything, she hit, and maybe she didn't hit anything. And
they could do that while showing it. They could just have the camera on her and you don't know what she's hit, but you know that she's hit something. To come and just announcing that she's hit something is a really strange way to start a story.
I didn't mind it as much as a lot of people do, but then again, I watch a lot of prestige television where things like that are.
I thought we were waiting until tomorrow to be pretentious. So they snoop around and there's some damage to the car, but there's no blood and there's no sign of a body. David was expecting to see Rita with her face down in the gutter and also whoever Shona ran over. David thinks it must have been a dog. So later in the morning, David's
I guess is better?
Right. He's trying to pop the dent out when Abby comes along and checks it out. David blames hitting a bin. She offers to fix it, but it'll take a couple of days. And he's like, oh, thanks very much for that. And she's like, it's my job. Mm-hmm. Then Eileen comes out of the house and reveals to Billy that Todd has been hit by a car and left for dead in the street. She was found by a taxi driver and taken to hospital. So she rushes off to see him.
That was a weird street for him to have been in for no apparent reason, and also for a taxi cab.
At 5 o'clock in the morning.
Right, and also for a taxi cab to be driving through.
So this is entirely my problem. Shona being up at that time is almost believable. Because of what happened on Friday, and she's kind of obsessing about the car parking space.
Right.
So that's kind of believable. Right. But then Todd being up and just wandering the streets at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
without seeing that, it's very hard to believe that it happened. So,
And also that particular part of the street, because that was like a real back street sort of
yeah, it's one of the
area.
back streets round about it. So,
Not even like right in front.
yeah, very strange. So David and Shona are in the Rovers chatting over the events when Sarah comes in and reveals that Todd has been involved in a hit and run.
Dum dum dum!
Says Shona. David plays it cool, but at home, Shona panics. David is concerned it wasn't an accident, but Shona's fury gives him his answer on that. She's actually thinking that maybe she did it
Shit on
deliberately.
purpose, yeah.
And he keeps on saying, well, you do some crazy things these days, as we all know and love now.
Yeah,
New Shona.
right.
Never getting old Shona back.
No. She's been less
Less Shona.
loopy, though.
Right. But there's a moment where he asks her to either take care of something or look after something or go and get something, and you think she's just going to totally fuck this up.
Right.
So Shona considers going to the police, but David points out that hit and run gets jail time. He wants to dump the car and hope that it was dark enough for Todd not to see that she was the one who was driving. Then Abby appears at the door wanting a word with the two of them. She knows that David didn't hit a bin and he'll need the car off the street away from the cops because she knows what he did this summer. She knows what he did
Last night.
Shona's forced to admit that she was driving and explains the events of the morning. Abby claims that she isn't a grass, but needs a reason not to go at the cops. Well, that kind of makes you a grass. But if Todd doesn't recover, she'll be forced to go to Eileen.
Right.
Because she's such good friends with Eileen and stuff. In the hospital, Todd explains that he went out because he's not dead.
Well, she knows what it's like to lose your son. That's why she would have to go to Eileen if he doesn't recover.
In the hospital, Todd explains that he went out for a 5 a.m. walk when he got hit by a car and he can't remember anything else. Eileen leaves, pointing out that just because he's in hospital, this doesn't change anything about the relationship.
Right, yeah. He's still an asshole. I'm glad you're not dead. You're still an asshole.
I'll see you later.
Ta.
Right. Later, Shona runs into Sarah, who has suddenly become the Todd Condition Update Specialist. Shona tells her to pass on their best, as it looks like Todd's going to be fine, but he's got a couple of broken ribs and stuff. Then PC Tinker goes round to number 8 and asks Shona if she knew about the hit and run. In comes David and he quickly covers. It was 5 a.m. and they were both sound asleep on this gov. That's enough for PC Tinker, and he sees himself out. He's just going door to door at this time.
Right, yeah.
He's not falling up on any lead or anything.
No.
Shona can't go on like this, but David thinks it's not so bad because no one else actually knows anything here. The only other person is Todd, but they don't know what he knows.
Right.
So David announces that he's off to go to the hospital to see him and find out.
Right.
So using regret over last week's events, David goes to see Todd, who is sitting up and talking but has 2 broken ribs. He also knows that Shona was the one what knocked him over. David wants to know the price of his silence. Oh, you'll find out, says Todd.
Dum dum dum.
So David goes home with the bad news, but Todd is playing a longer game and he wants something.
And Shona says, well, we know it's not my body.
Right. which is true.
Yes. Maybe it's David's body.
Well, David is suddenly again on Wednesday. Shona can't sleep because of the whole Todd situation and thinks she should hand herself in, so David has to recap what he already told her on Monday, and then Todd appears at the door with his bags. And my ears burning, he says.
Yes.
Now, they're up at like 7 o'clock in the morning at this point,
Yeah.
and Todd just turns up on their door with bags.
He checked himself out of the hospital with broken ribs.
It's 7 o'clock in the morning. Or earlier, because you have to get there, right?
Right.
So at Roy's Rolls, the Undertaker and Sarah in a leather skirt are wondering where Todd has disappeared to.
Why are you so obsessed with Sarah's clothes? This is not the first time you have observed her in a leather skirt and made a comment about it.
It's not, I don't really care about her clothes.
Then why do you
I quite
comment
like that,
about
quite
it?
like that leather skirt though. Where Todd has disappeared to since checking himself out in the hospital. When the going gets tough, says Sarah, Todd gets going.
I almost called him Tim.
Tim gets going as well.
I almost called
Where's
him
Tim
Scott
going?
as well.
Well, the going just got tough, but not for him. But well, he's still going.
He's a tough guy, all right. That's why he's going.
He's
a tough going
not
guy.
for stopping.
No, he's like
We'll watch. Oh, he's all right.
like Shona's son running through the cemetery.
Clayton. Yeah.
Clayton, yes.
Ding-a-ding-a-ding-a-ding-a-ding.
He's going to. It's just not as tough.
There was a straight line through those graves. There was a straight line. But no, he goes
Deedle, 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 deedle.
figure eight.
The way that kid in the Game of the Thrones should have been running and wasn't.
Don't get me started on that. So, Todd needs a bed for a few nights while he recuperates. It can be David doing a mate a favour, he says. Nobody will think anything of it. Yeah, but we're not mates, says David. Well, we are now, says Todd, and he goes off for a bath.
Like, don't you remember I used to date your sister, so that makes us mates for life.
And Shona seems to be quite happy to accommodate this. Later, Shona's enjoying Todd's company. She keeps on making them cups of tea and breakfast and stuff.
Right, yeah. She's actually enjoying his company, and they're trading war stories as far as head injuries are concerned.
Right. David sends Todd upstairs just as PC Tinker comes in to explain that David's car has been found abandoned and damaged. Oh, pig's tits, says David. His mouth
dear.
says pig's tits.
Oh, dear.
But his eyes do not.
Ooh.
Afterwards, David is concerned about the DNA evidence left on the motor and what about the CCTV. If they figure it out, what's it going to look like with Todd actually living here?
What?
Todd doesn't care and he goes off for a nap. So Sarah sees David
And a bath. Doesn't he take
Another
a bath as
bath.
well?
Another one?
He takes 2 baths in one day.
Sarah sees David outside the barber's and asks if he's seen Todd, which David thinks is a weird question. Moments later, Sarah calls Todd and seems to learn from him that he's staying at number 8 of all places. So Sarah goes round and wonders why Todd is sleeping in Gail's bed, and there's a sentence that she doesn't want to say ever again. Todd says it's just a mate doing a favour. Sarah points out that everyone hates him, so what's really going on? Todd keeps stum, so Sarah goes off to speak with David about it. So David is chatting to Shona outside the barber's when PC Tinker happens along and promptly arrests David for perverting the course of justice and doing his damnedest to kill that Todd, which is a misdemeanour. Craig really gave it a bit of gusto, you have the right to remain silent when he's lifting his mate.
Yeah.
Kind of like that. Shona storms home with Sarah and accuses Todd of grassing David into the cops. Todd has no idea what they're talking about. Shona promises to castrate Todd if he's had anything to do with this. Now I'm off to the station to get my husband out, she says. And you're like, what does she possibly mean by that?
This happens. It's funny because this storyline happens twice with 2 different families
This week?
this week. Where somebody has done something wrong and somebody else gets accused of it, and then somebody called the cops and the wrong person is accused of calling the cops.
Yeah, it's a total Control-C, Control-V about this, isn't it?
A wee bit.
So at the station, PC Tinker goes through their evidence. David was spotted on CCTV driving the car that he reported stolen, and the paint fragments match those found up Todd's arse. Right up his arse. Back at number 8, Sarah is disgusted in Todd. What happened to my sweet boyfriend of yesteryear, she says. The world, says Todd. The world happened. Sarah says he poisons everything good in his life. Todd reckons everyone is better off without him.
And it's right.
So David has been left in the interview room while PC Tinker was going to get some more information, and he comes back with the evidence that allows David to be let go. David is worried that Shona has blabbed, and he's also worried that Shona's there and she's created a scene. Is Shona here? Did she kick off? She kicked off, didn't she?
Yeah.
And Craig's like, well, yeah, she did a little bit, but we've got her in another cell. And
Yeah, she's fine.
We're calming her down.
Yeah, she's
Again, kind of funny, and I would like to have seen that. Outside, Shona confirms that she had nothing to do with David's release, and that Todd quietly tiptoes out of the police station
And
unseen.
through the tulips. Todd tiptoes through the tulips.
And number 8, Todd, who now has a key, comes in, and David and Shona have sussed that he's the person that handed over the new information. Todd told the cops it was a different car that had a handsome driver, so it couldn't have been David. What about all that forensic evidence and CCTV information, says nobody.
It could have been another car that had the same color paint.
But you've reported your car stolen, David, that we then saw you on CCTV driving. Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Todd apologises for trying to take advantage and then grabs his bags, ready to leave. There's nothing for him here now that he's had a bath. Shona can't hide her disappointment.
2 baths.
So Sarah and Shona rush into Eileen's to warn her that Todd is leaving. Eileen could not give a fuck until Shona admits that Todd covered for her and lied to the police. So that means that he's changed or something. So Eileen nabs Todd about to leave at the tram station. She's done this before, didn't she?
Yes.
When he first came back.
Right?
Control C, Control V.
Yeah.
He asks her to apologise to Billy and Summer for him. He's so sorry for all the heartache that he's caused. And Eileen crumbles and asks him to come home.
Yes.
On Friday, after all that excitement, Todd is ready to start another storyline this week. Community payback with broken ribs. Mary isn't so sympathetic with him, but is keen for him to repay his debt to society and to change. He's in the last chance saloon, she says.
Yes.
So he reports for work at the soup kitchen to find that Billy is going to be his boss. Billy is not happy about this and sends Todd away, otherwise he'll close down the entire soup kitchen and no one gets to eat.
Either you leave or none of these homeless people get food.
And you can see the homeless people behind Todd going,
Go
what?
what? What the
Fucking
hell?
starving here. What's the point of having a soup kitchen if you're going to close it down?
What's going on?
I liked the other guy that was...
Yeah, you kind of just rolled his eyes and walked away.
It's like,
at
oh,
some
come on,
point.
Billy, what's going on here? And Billy says, it's my ex. And so the
I'm
guy
his
goes,
victim.
For fuck's sake.
Well, also and he's right. It's weird that Todd got assigned for this with Billy.
The gods of plot have a humorous side to them, apparently. And Billy
No soap for you.
literally screaming at Todd that
Right.
he'll close down the soup kitchen.
Right. No soup for you.
There was a scene that happened just before that didn't mention where Billy's walking down as Todd's talking to Mary.
Right.
And Billy basically shouts abuse across the street at him.
Right. Yeah.
Calls him a prick and a shitbag and that.
Yeah.
And then goes in to get his breakfast or whatever.
Yeah.
He's just the worst archdeacon in the world, isn't he? There's just no idea of compassion
Not
or
very
forgiveness.
Christian of him. No. I mean, I understand his feelings, but to threaten to shut down the whole soup kitchen is ridiculous.
So Todd finally agrees to leave. Mary finds Todd licking his wounds in Roy's rolls. He's worried he's going to end up in the jail because of this. Because if he's not allowed to do his community
Right.
service, then
Yeah, he's going to go to jail.
Right.
And Billy seems to think that he shouldn't be doing community service, that he should be in jail.
right. It probably should.
Yeah, probably. He stole from the church.
Yeah, I wonder if that would make Billy reckon about the whole pews situation from a few months ago. Remember he sold the pews?
Yeah.
God, what a terrible archdeacon. Honestly. So anyway, Mary promises to speak with Billy to try and talk him round.
The writers are all atheists.
So Mary goes to the soup kitchen and stands in front of hungry homeless people and very slowly talks to Billy about affairs of the heart while people are getting
Right.
hungrier behind her.
And also says she'll take a cup if there's one wanting.
Right. Billy thinks Todd should be elbow deep in dog shite rather than working with him because this is good stuff.
Yeah, this is fun.
Right.
And
then he looks like, well, it's not exactly fun.
Right. Well, he doesn't
It's
want
good
to
work.
He doesn't want to admit that it's fun. It is fun to work at the soup kitchen. I've always enjoyed myself working at the soup kitchen, because you're doing a good deed, and also, you get to talk to lots of people, and that's fun.
Gets you out of the house.
Yeah, gets you cooking.
So, anyway, Mary has managed to melt him on the matter, although I'm not exactly sure how that happened. So Mary tells Todd that he's back in. Todd is impressed, although he's still being a smart arse about it. That's Todd's problem. is that
Mary takes Tracy's advice, because remember, Tracy's was there when Mary's like, what? And Tracy says, if I were him, I'd give you all the worst jobs and make your life miserable. So Mary kind of hints at that to Billy.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that's what got Billy sold.
Right. So Todd's
Not
impressed.
very Christian of him.
So Todd has still been an asshole about this. He's turned into Chandler for some reason.
Right.
He's always got a smart ass remark to make
Right.
to people who really don't like him and
No.
aren't.
He
prepared
seems
to
to
help
think
his
that this
bullshit.
is going to charm people into liking him again. And it doesn't work.
Mary warns Todd to get his dog shit marigolds at the ready. So rather than serve soup, Billy has Todd unblocking the toilets in the bathroom, and it seems that one of the homeless guys, Colin, got a manscaper for Christmas and really went to town in one of the sinks.
Yes. Above and below, apparently. Unless he's been hiding a French poodle under his armpit or something.
Yeah, because it was his armpit that was...
Well, no. No. By insinuating French poodle, they're talking about much curlier hair than what occurs in your armpit.
Toilets cleaned. Todd is still wisecracking his way through the day, and Billy still isn't impressed by this and announces that from now on he's going to be taking different shifts from Todd. And Todd's like, oh, so this is just to make it more difficult for you to forgive me. He's not going to forgive you. And you shouldn't expect him to forgive you. You did terrible, terrible things.
You should be doing the right thing because you should be doing the right thing, not because you think it's going to get you back in Billy's good graces. What is wrong with you?
And it's been like 2 weeks.
Again, we have 2 sociopaths on the street this week who keep saying sorry but aren't really sorry.
Right. But one of them we like, though.
That's true.
And that's as far as we get with that this week.
One of them may be redeemable.
Which one?
Not Todd.
Oh. So yeah, your thoughts about this then?
I was all good and ready for Todd to walk off into the sunset onto that train and we never see him again. No offense to Gareth Pierce, who is a really nice guy in real life.
He's also a good Todd.
Yeah, he's a good Todd.
He's good at Todd.
He's good at his job.
We're meant to feel this way about him, right?
Yeah. It's like the kid in the Game of the Thrones who was a real asshole and, people hate him in real life.
Joffrey.
Yes. Joffrey. And that he's a good actor. It's always the best actors who play the assholes.
Wonder how many times George R.R. Martin's computer spell checked that to Jeffrey. I bet it happened all the time.
I'm imagining it happened all the time. And I imagine that's not the only name on the Game of the Thrones that kept spell checking.
Because all he did is throw vowels out and bring other vowels in, didn't he?
That's when he did that whole right click thing where it says ignore every time this happens in the future.
Fuck off, Clippy.
Yeah. George R.R. Martin's never going to write those last 2 books, is he?
No. So this is, I think, there's a sense of urgency in the pace that some of these stories are getting told at.
Yes.
That I think is evident from the way that we started.
Yes.
We skipped like a good hour's worth of drama. We skipped a cliffhanger from a previous episode.
Right.
And just started in the middle. We did a Tarantino on this storyline. We started somewhere in the middle.
Because we're pretentious this weekend.
Right, absolutely. So we're cutting corners here to tell this story quicker.
Yes.
So we have the situation where Todd is getting to expect almost forgiveness and redemption after a couple of weeks.
Yes. Not going to happen.
Where normally this... I get the feeling this would maybe be something that would happen further down the line. And it's not the only time that this happens. There's other things that feel like they're a bit... We're talking in some sort of abridged terms in a few of these storylines where it's almost like we want to get this done so that something else can start. And I'm wondering if it's to do with the whole... we had the altered schedule... round about this time last year, which went to 3 episodes and back up to 6 again. And remember that they had to do that end of year adjustment,
right?
Where they stopped filming and they went away and they tweaked the storylines.
Right.
And I wonder if this is kind of the arse end of all that, is we're trying to get further along earlier in certain storylines because they've had other ideas or other things going on that they want to introduce quicker.
I think that they, as well as everybody else in the world, are just really concerned that the Delta variant, especially when schools open back up, is just going to shut everything back down completely again, and they're not going to be able to film. So they want to get things done, wrapped up as quickly as possible, and do double duty as far as filming is concerned, so that they can get things that if we do lock down again, they wouldn't be able to film done.
Yeah,
I think no matter if it's my idea or your idea, I think COVID is to blame in some way because COVID is to blame for everything.
we just ended up that the whole Monday, Wednesday, by the time we got to the end of Friday, it's like it didn't happen, and it didn't matter that it didn't happen. Because there's no ramifications for David. There should be, because of the evidence. He should at least be getting done for reporting his car stolen when it wasn't.
Right.
That forensic stuff, surely Craig would have just a little inkling of suspicion that's worth investigating here.
It doesn't matter. If Todd said it was somebody else, they're going to take Todd's word for it because they know that everybody hates Todd. And again, a paint chip, there's no DNA on that paint chip that says it's David's car.
Well,
there's lots of other red cars in the world.
Yeah, but they're all different shades of red, and each car manufacturer has its own shades of red that are proprietary, that they could prove that this was a Ford or whatever.
Right, but David's car is not the only car that's that car in the world
that CCTV has placed at that time. If they wanted to, they could.
No, they don't have CCTV of that. They have CCTV of him moving the car away.
Mm-hmm. The timeline works though.
No,
because it happened after the hit and run.
Right.
If it happened before the hit and run, then the timeline doesn't work. But it happened afterwards, so the timeline does.
I think it just. I think something further is going to be happening with Todd and the Platts.
I hope so, because otherwise Monday, Wednesday will
because even before this, they were really setting things up. Like Sarah was the only one who sort of wanted to forgive him last week, and the only one who was willing to talk to him last week was Sarah. And they make a very big deal this week of reminding the audience that Sarah and Todd used to date. Mm-hmm. They reminded Todd was reminding everybody, and Sarah was reminding everybody, and David was reminding everybody.
And we appreciated that.
Yeah. So it seems like they're setting something up for Todd and the Platts to do together. So
yeah, we shall see. Moving on, our next story is Seb's messy man garden. On Monday, Asha has woken Dev up, because they're up early as well.
Everybody's up early.
He tells her about Ed's offer for land for Seb's community garden idea, which Asha didn't know about, and now she does. Asha goes to see Nina at Roy's Rolls, and it's a little awkward, but Asha offers to help with the Seb garden fundraising, and Nina is very pleased to accept. Mm-hmm. Asha suggests collection boxes. And what a fantastic idea.
Nina says, I would have never thought of that on my own collection boxes. Wow, you're really smart that you suggested collection boxes, because nobody would have ever thought of collection boxes.
Right. Not a comma or a full stop to be seen.
No.
Debbie is at the garage checking Abby's plans for lunch when Asha comes along with her collection tin. It's got Seb's picture on it. Yes, that picture. Mm-hmm. Debbie contributes, but Abby doesn't, and when Asha goes, she explains that all she wants is the scumbags who killed her son to get their just desserts.
Right.
So Asha's heading to another shop when she gets a call from someone keen to conduct a monetary transaction, and we're led to believe that this is all fundraiser related. Asha goes in to see Dev to get his donation, and she points out that Debbie was kind enough to give 40 quid. Uh-huh. So Dev gives 50 quid.
Right.
Now that she and Nina are working together, Dev is concerned that she's going to get hurt.
Proof that Asha is an Alahan.
Right. So he advises caution on this if you've still got feelings here.
Right.
Back at Roy's Rolls, Asha has managed to raise £400. Nina's amazed. Asha says folks really loved Seb and puts it mostly down to Dev, but it's clear she's got the money from somewhere else. Mm-hmm. Asha gets home and Dev wants to
I mean, at least £100 of that is just from Debbie and Dev.
Right. Well, 90, let's call that 90. Asha gets home and Dev wants to start a horticultural GoFundMe and wants Asha to get her laptop to make it happen, but it seems the funds for Seb's garden have predominantly come from Asha selling the laptop.
For only $400.
Oh, 310.
Yeah.
Dev is not happy about this, but Asha thinks that she owes this to Nina and Seb for being such a cow to them earlier. Dev cools, but wants Nina to know where the money came from, so make sure you tell her.
Yes.
So Asha goes back to Roy's Rolls and is about to confess to Nina about the laptop when Nina enthuses about how popular Seb must have been for that money to be raised so quickly.
Right.
So Asha grabs her collar and decides just to be quiet about the whole thing. And she also decides not to tell her dad that this has happened.
And also the collection boxes, they're still out there.
Yeah, they're not done.
They're not done. They're still collecting. So it does seem like lots of people are like, oh, this is such a great idea and we're going to help and let's do this and let's do that. So it does seem like he's well loved. So both things can be true, Asha. Tell the truth.
On Wednesday, Asha and Nina are starting to put Seb's man garden together. Nina is enthusiastic and doesn't seem to notice Abby's simmering disgust about the work that they're doing. Ed seems to notice, but he keeps quiet about it. Mm-hmm. Abby's just not... She's got this kind of fake smile plastered on her face.
Right,
and
yeah.
She's very abrupt when she's talking about it and non-committal.
Right.
But Nina just hears, Abby is fucking loving this.
Right, yeah.
So Abby heads to Roy Rose and complains about the garden to Bernie, thinking that it's just virtue signalling. She's sick of it and the sympathetic looks that she gets. Then in comes Nina enthusing about the online reaction to the garden. Well, that's the main thing, says Abby, and then she leaves them to it.
Right.
Nina again is oblivious to Abby's mood on the matter,
Right.
but has a great idea for an addition to the garden.
Bernie tells an awful story about a woman who had a brick thrown through her window because she wasn't clapping for the NHS because she was in the hospital.
Right.
Do you think that really happened somewhere? I'm sure it did.
Of course it did. It reminded me of a story in The Sun where...
You're reading The Sun now?
No,
That shitbag.
I wasn't. But I think it was... They outed someone as a pedo.
Uh-huh.
He ended up on a list of paedophiles when he was
Right.
actually a paediatrician.
Oh, no!
But he was like getting attacked and stuff in the street when he was a paediatrician, but he'd been outed as a paedophile.
But he wasn't a pedophile. Because
No.
some pediatricians are pedophiles.
No, he was
just
a good
a
guy.
pediatrician. Yeah.
And there were some people throwing stones at a pedalo. It was just got all very messy. So, thank you, Stuart Lee, for that pedalo joke. Mm-hmm. So, Kathy, Brian and Yasmin are working on the garden. Brian complains about people handling his plums and Tim's dad stealing his broad beans. And
I was so
thrilled
glad that
when
there was a
got mentioned.
callback to that.
Right. Nina,
That was a great callback.
yeah, I thought it was a little insensitive for Brian to bring up Tim's dad, but
In front of Yasmin? Yeah.
a wee bit. Right. Nina thinks that Seb would have loved the garden and wishes that he was here to see it. And she seems to be working on something else with a 6-inch brush. Later, Abby decides to raise her own blood pressure by visiting Seb's man garden and is appalled to see Ryan taking a selfie in front of a honking big mural of Seb. Hashtag RIP Seb underneath it. It's dreadful.
It's like a cartoon.
It's an outline. It's a cartoon outline.
Right. And there's like all these colors.
And they made his lips enormous.
They did.
And there's this kind of rainbow colour shimmer effect behind him. It looks dreadful.
Nina is a much better artist than that, so I don't know. I don't know who they were trying to fool and who they got to make that mural.
Oh, dear God.
Because it was not good. It wasn't great.
So Asha and Nina are at Dev's and Asha goes off for a shite or something, which allows Nina to thank Dev for his generosity. Confused, Dev explains that it was Asha who made the donation after selling the laptop. Didn't she tell you?
Oops.
At Roy's Rose, Nina reveals to Asha that she knows about the laptop and Asha's lies. Nina thought that they were being honest with each other now and is now worried that Asha still has feelings for her, which Asha can't deny. Nina doesn't take this well. She's just buried Seb.
Right, yeah.
This is totally fucked up right here.
Yeah.
And she wants Asha out.
Yeah. And she's not entirely wrong. I mean, it's not like Asha can turn her feelings off, but still selling the laptop was kind of a bridge too far as far as trying to do good deeds.
Is it creepy?
It's a little creepy in order to get back into Nina's pants.
She is young. I don't think she's
I don't think
do
she's
that,
intentionally. I think she is.
Because she just said that I care about you.
Right. Well, and that's what that means. But again, she's young. I don't think she necessarily fully realizes it herself that, that's kind of what she's still doing, that she's trying to get back together with Nina. But still, it is a little creepy, and I can understand Nina not being happy about it.
So I thought she overreacted a bit.
I didn't.
At the Rovers, Abby tells Eileen that the life-size cartoon of her son isn't going down well. She's calling it a cartoon, so that's, yeah.
Because it is. It's a cartoon. It's not meant to be realistic.
Asha's at home in a mood and being rude to Addy, and then suddenly grabs her jacket and heads out. And at Roy's Rolls, Nina is sitting in the dark, drawing a cartoon of her and Asha not communicating on opposite sides of a river that's a little bit too on the nose, even for Roy.
A wee bit.
Meanwhile, an anonymous figure, under the cover of night, goes into Seb's man garden and fucking destroys it, and the mural, and then heads over to Alina and Tyrone's and takes a shit on that massive picture too.
If only.
Right. And that brings us on to this week's hard debate. Who do we think wrecked Seb's man garden
Well, we know who
at the
did
end
it.
of Wednesday?
Oh.
So at the end of Wednesday, your options were Abby, Asha, Brian, or Seb's animated mural.
Mural.
The mural had become sentient.
Right.
And
Pulled itself
gained
out
a
of the
dimension.
wall. Yes.
Kind of like Aha's Take On Me video.
Yes.
A little bit.
Wee bit.
But angrier.
Yes.
And hating
Like
flowers.
the Nazis in the Aha video.
Right.
Yes.
The voting was spread thus. Brian, 2.6%.
What?
Seb's animated mural. And I know it's mural. I'm saying mural.
I know. You're like, it's like
I'm
you're
Hilda
blaming.
Ogden. I'm Hilda Ogden.
You're blaming what's her name in Muriel's wedding.
No. Hilda always called her mural a muriel. So it's a throwback to
Right.
Corrie from 30
That
years
joke
ago.
is lost on me and half the listening audience, though.
Seb's animated mural, 10.5%. I wanted that to come second. I really
I
did.
love our audience.
Asha, 17.1%, and Abby, a resounding winner, 69.7%.
Nice.
But they made an effort of trying to think that it could have been
Wink.
Asha by having her get up and go out.
Right. And a lot of the
So where did she go?
A lot of the spoiler stuff as well was saying that Asha did it without the question mark. So that seems, whenever there's a spoiler without a question mark, that's supposed to be something that's actually true.
Right. On Friday, Roy has a planter for the stupid Seb man garden, but as he goes to drop it off, he sees the destruction and calls on Nina to come see this for herself. Nina can't believe the mindless vandalism. What's the point of trying to do anything nice if some shitbag is just going to ruin it for everyone? Sally and Abby walk by, Abby coughing loudly and clutching her collar. Nina has a culprit in mind, and it ain't Abby.
Yeah.
Back at Sally's, Sally can't believe the vandalism and hopes Abby isn't too upset about it. Abby isn't upset at all and
No.
admits that she was the one what wrecked
What
the
done
garden.
it?
She hated it. She couldn't bear looking at it, mostly the mural. Asha happens upon Seb's man garden now, and Nina wastes no time in accusing her of doing the damage. Asha thinks that this is bang out of order and demands an apology when Abby comes along and says, "Look,
It was me."
So Nina's confused as she misremembers every garden-related interaction that she's had with Abby, ever. Abby isn't happy with people gawping at her son or for him to be a poster boy for hate crime. Abby doesn't want his death glamorised. He's dead, he isn't beautiful, this is plain ugly, and she storms off. Back at Sally's, Abby's unrepentant. That mural was fucking honking, and Sally agrees, but points out that this is kids trying to come to terms with what happened, and Seb
Right.
would probably want it.
Yes.
And then she misremembers Seb for a bit. About how lovely and caring
And kind
he was.
he was, yes.
He wasn't.
He
He wasn't at all a prick to his mum at all.
No, but he was kind to other people.
So Nina and Roy and Asha are dismantling the garden. Nina's about to paint over the mural when Abby shouts, "Stop!" And she arrives with a
Don't
plant
touch
for the
that.
garden.
Yes, it's a raspberry.
She's had a change of heart. She can see the beauty in it now, but please crack on and cover that fucking mural. Cheers. And that's as far as we get with that this week. Again, we're delaying getting to the bit that we really want to get to.
Right, the court thing.
The court case,
Yeah.
right? Because this is, again, this is just a little distraction of Abby and Nina being at cross purposes
Right.
and wanting different things.
Right.
And we've had this at least
Right.
2 or 3 times
Yes.
in the last sort of month.
It seems
month or
like we
two.
are never getting Goth Nina back, are we?
I think we'll wait until after the court. I hope so, because it's taken me a lot to warm to
Not Goth Nina?
not Goth Nina.
Because she seems to have really just settled into... She doesn't look like she's borrowing someone else's
No,
clothes anymore.
she has her own wardrobe.
Right.
Now, right.
and she seems to have figured out doing her hair in a ponytail and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, once the bruises kind of faded.
Right. And she's taken all her piercings out.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I would have at least kept a few piercings, one would think.
Well, when Nina was introduced to the show, or at least I thought, that it would be a matter of time before they would...
Degoth her.
Right, and homogenise her.
Mm-hmm.
It's taken longer than we expected, or it's taken longer than I expected, but it's kind of happened. And you're right, she's been like this for a while.
Yeah, it's kind of heartbreaking.
It is
and
a bit.
Apparently her ability to do art has diminished.
It's taking a severe hit. And her ability to read people's expressions and tone.
Her black dresses were Samson's hair.
Yeah.
In the storyline.
Oh well, moving on. Our next storyline today is Daisy's chain. On Monday. Well, I didn't expect that reaction.
No. I'm just trying to figure out which one would be in the front and which one would be in the back.
Oh, like they were a human centipede?
No, like they were a human daisy chain.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, that's far less disturbing.
Still disturbing though.
Less disturbing. On Monday. I think I'd stick Ryan in the middle.
No, well, Daisy would be in the middle, obviously.
That's why I would stick Ryan in the middle.
Daniel at the top.
What's Daniel got to do here?
He's part of this chain now.
Oh, apparently. I just had a 3-man chain. Or 3-person chain, rather.
Well, I did too, and now it's 4. Because I just remembered Alya. So it'd be Daniel, then Daisy, then Ryan, then Alya. Yeah.
It's a lot of lube. On Monday, in the Rover's Daisy.
Who is the 5th person you were thinking of?
This is taking much longer to get through than I thought. So you've got Daisy, Ryan, Daniel, Alya, Johnny.
Although Johnny was a little creepy during the storyline. Mm-hmm. He says one thing that was kind of off-putting.
I counted Daniel twice. That's what happened. So, on Monday in the Rovers, Daisy, because Daisy's in it this week, learns that Ryan has a ski festival DJ gig. Daisy wants to go to Speed Dial.
No, she knew about this. This is a ski gig.
It's the same one?
Yeah. He hasn't gone to it
I thought
yet.
we'd been in that and back.
Right.
But Ryan...
I thought so too, but then I'm really confused.
Daisy wants to go to Speed Dial, but Ryan has reservations, not for Speed Dial.
Yeah.
See, I expected that joke. Yeah. Daisy makes a fuss about him being her girlfriend now, not Alya.
Boyfriend.
And
Ryan is a boy.
And Ryan's like, sure, you're my girlfriend.
Sure.
If I could stop my eyes going from side to side, sure. At Speed Dial, Alya is mature about Ryan and Daisy showing up. Daisy can't wait to brag about the big names that Ryan will be DJing with. Ryan plays it down while Alya congratulates him. Daisy sees that Ryan still has feelings for Alya, but
yeah.
And she's unimpressed when Ryan keeps looking at Alya, and she's being a bit of a whorebag customer as well. She's been
that's the whole reason why she wanted to go to Speed Dial.
Ryan is embarrassed by it all and runs off, somewhat pissing on Daisy's chips as she tries to show off.
Yeah, this was the first time that I actually really hated Daisy.
Oh, join us. I'll just tighten up when Yasmin comes back. Alya downplays, because she's been away at the dentist or something.
Right.
Alya downplays the Daisy incident, but Yasmin can see through it. After all this, as soon as they split up...
Yes, Yasmin says, no drillings, no fillings. I loved that. It's so good to have the real Yasmin back. Mm-hmm.
After all this, as soon as they split up, he jumps into bed with her. What a prick, says Alya. What a bitch, says Yasmin.
Yes.
At the pub, Ryan is upset that Daisy had to tell Alya that they got together so quickly. Daisy insists that she must be honest, which is why when Johnny comes in, she tells him Jenny is out with Ronnie. Ryan and Johnny look like they'd kill each other just to be the one to get to kill her.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Ryan says to Johnny, look, they're just going to cash and carry. There's nothing funny going on here.
No.
On Wednesday at the Rovers, Jenny is talking to Ryan about his fancy DJ slot and how Daisy is uber excited about it, and Ryan is forced to reveal that he has an afternoon session looking after kids.
Yeah.
Jenny laughs in his face. And later, Ryan explains
a gig is a gig, though.
Yeah.
Fuck all these people who are being so nasty to Ryan about this. A gig is a gig.
Well, we'll learn a little bit more about it as Ryan explains the lay of the land to Daisy. The gig's in the afternoon for kids. Oh, under 25s, she says. No, under 12s. And the location is a sleigh ride away from the main bars in town. Daisy is fucking fuming about this and walks away from the conversation. Later, Daisy's still gutted and disappointed about Ryan being a wimp because apparently he can't speak to the organisers and change all this.
Yeah, and insist upon a better gig.
And he's a cheap wimp at that, who's also booked a backpackers hostel for them to stay at. She's further disappointed when Alya comes in and Ryan turns into a gibbering wreck in front of her.
Right.
But her mood lightens when Paul and Daniel come in, and Daniel gets a call from his mum giving him a house.
Right.
Which he plans to rent out.
Well, it doesn't even sound
so
like
he
it's
can
his...
pay back Craig.
It's not even his mum. It's like his mum's lawyer or something.
Well, I thought it was his mum.
No, because it sounds like he says at some point, is she sure? Is this really what she wants? So it doesn't sound like he's talking to his mum.
I thought it was a dead aunt or something like that.
Yeah, it sounded like he was talking to a lawyer or something. But still, it's a very weird thing to just randomly happen now.
Thank you.
It is.
So, but this in the context of everything else that's been going on this week.
very little is made of it, except for the fact that he gets this he has this conversation in front of Daisy, who now knows that he has a little money, or he's coming into a little money.
Another thing that it does is it makes everyone think, why does Daniel owe Craig money again?
Why does he owe Craig money?
He owes Craig money because he stole Tim's dad's money out of the lawyer's office.
Right.
And then Tim's dad wanted the money back.
Right.
But Daniel had already given it to the sex cardigan woman. So he needed to get the money off Craig to pay off Tim's dad.
Right. Okay.
Or something like that.
Or something like that.
It was all the sex cardigan woman's fault.
She had a name, you know.
Which was?
I can't remember.
Oh, okay, sex cardigan it is. On Friday, at the Rovers, Ryan is trying to sell the ski holiday thing to Daisy, who still isn't keen. He goes off to get to he has another gig to go to, and he goes to that. And Daisy hangs back when she sees Daniel and his man bag arrive, and the two get chatting, and Daisy pretends to give a solitary fuck about Bertie and children in general.
Right, yeah, because didn't she just say, like, last week that she hates kids?
I think so. I think it's taken as a given that she hates everything. Daisy and Daniel are in a giggly mood. And
no, she likes money and sex.
Johnny watches on and thinks alcohol. It's weird. Daniel is explaining why Daisy's tastes in art and music are wrong. So Johnny points all this out to Jenny. He thinks it's odd that Daisy's flirting as much as this when she's supposed to be going out with Ryan.
And also supposed to be working.
All that too. So Jenny has a word with Daisy through the back about a relationship with Ryan, accusing her of getting revenge for Ryan speaking with Alya yesterday, and Daisy insists that if she was wanting to get revenge, she'd be sleeping with Daniel by now.
Right. And also when Jenny was talking to Johnny about this, and she says, "Oh, well, she's just a flirty person. She flirts with everyone." And then Johnny says, "She never flirts with me." And that was the creepiest thing I think I've ever heard Johnny say. Ever. It was creepy, wasn't it?
Timbot 4000 says, who eats chili con carne without rice?
If you know what I mean.
Right. It's like, why would he want her to flirt with him?
Right. It's the sort of thing that I think you could maybe catch yourself thinking and then think, it's because I'm 3 times older than her. Right. That's why.
Right.
Because, sometimes you imagine yourself to be younger than you actually are.
Right, yes. I do that all the time.
Not that I've had a chance to fucking do that. Everyone this week has been giving me senior citizen discounts.
Gav got the senior discount last time we went to the movies because we went to see Quiet Place 2 and they gave him a senior discount without even asking.
I'm 47 years old.
Almost 48.
No, you couldn't. You couldn't just let it go. You couldn't just let me be 47. And I got this at the supermarket. It happened at the supermarket on Wednesday. Stop laughing. On Wednesday, the guy in the checkout says at 10% seniors discount today.
And
I'm like,
so?
what the fuck are you telling me? I'm 47 years old. And the kid, who must have been 20,
Yeah.
it didn't miss a beat.
No.
Didn't look like he heard me. And if he did, certainly didn't care.
No.
Wasn't embarrassed.
No.
Wasn't apologetic.
No.
And gave me 10% off anyway.
No.
No, he did. I got 10% off. I'm 47. 55 you have to be to get this 10% discount.
Right. So you're almost there. 7 more years. It'll fly by.
Oh, sweet death. Back in the booth. Daisy proves how well she knows Daniel when she didn't know Sinead had died.
Right. It's weird that she didn't know that Sinead was dead. You'd think somebody would have told her by now.
Well, Daniel points out that this is the third time the two of them have spoken to each other. One of them was yesterday. One of them was today.
Yeah. And then one of them was when he wrote that article about her.
That'll be it then. That'll be the 3 times.
But as we pointed out, when they were sparring about that article, there did seem to be some chemistry there.
Right.
And she does seem to have more chemistry with Daniel than with Ryan, who would rather still be with Alya.
Right.
And it kind of does piss me off that we're just going to just plow over that whole consent issue there. Aren't we? She said something at that time about, well, I couldn't have sex with him because he was too drunk.
He was too drunk to
But
consent.
nobody has pointed out, wait a second, you intentionally got him drunk to sleep with him. And this is not Ryan's fault.
Right. So anyway, he comes back from his latest gig and it's been a disaster again. And Daisy goes off with him, but has lingering looks for Daniel and his man bag back in the booth, and they check each other out again.
And his money.
Leaves.
And his love of abstract art.
So I think
books.
Daisy and Daniel together could create this uber character that just attracts boring moment of the week from now until the end of time.
Daisy's not boring. She's just evil. And at least Daisy does have a favorite abstract artist and a favorite
It's Jackson
author.
Pollock. It's the one that she's heard of because she's got a Stone Roses CD.
No, because she knows who what's his name is. Daniel's favorite. She makes big blocks of color. She makes a big blocks of color comment, so she knows more than just Jackson Pollock. Who would you have said?
Favorite artist?
Abstract artist. Because Daniel's very pretentious. He has to be specific.
Jackson Pollock, probably.
So you're Daisy.
No, I don't particularly care for Jackson Pollock, but the ones that I like, I don't really know who painted them.
Huh.
I like the ones that you don't know if they're upside down or not. Those are the ones that I really like. The one that I really, really liked was at the National Gallery in Edinburgh when Tracy Emin had a retrospective on. Now, does that sound pretentious? I went to a Tracy Emin retrospective at the Edinburgh National Gallery. I think so.
Yes. All you had to do was say Edinburgh.
And retrospective. But they had an installation there of LED screens, like massive LED screens that you went into, and all you could see was the one colour. And you realise that you never see just one colour.
Right.
Ever.
Right.
So this is really weird, and it the colour changes, but it's not changing.
Right.
But your brain really struggles to keep up with it. So they give you just a plain white screen to look at the end.
Right.
To cleanse your visual palette. That was my favourite. So who do you prefer?
That's not really abstract art either.
All white or all one colour?
Yeah, that's not abstract.
Yeah, that's my book.
It's performative.
Anyway,
I can't remember what they said about books. Because doesn't Daniel say who's your favourite author or something like that too?
Yes, who our favourite band is, and we don't hear the answer. Because it cuts away to Johnny talking about chili and why does Daisy not fancy me? Who would you prefer Daisy to be with, though? Daniel or Ryan?
Oh, Daniel.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They make a better couple. There's more chemistry there. I want Ryan to go back to Alya with his tail between his legs, and I want Alya to take him back because
I think that'll happen.
it really wasn't his fault.
Ryan is not enough of a challenge for Daisy, I don't think. She doesn't, there's no sport in that for her anymore.
The challenge was getting him away from Alya. It wasn't Ryan himself.
Right.
It doesn't matter who Alya was dating. The challenge was to get something away from Alya.
Right. Moving on to our penultimate storyline today.
Already?
Yep.
Wow.
Is buying back the Bistro. I kind of loved this.
There's a part of me that loves it, and there's a part of me that doesn't. And the reason why I don't love it is just because of the fact that I want Ben and Jane to have more of a vacation than this.
Right. On Monday, Nick and Leanne are back. They've been off for a week. This is the second time they've been off for a week. They bring them back. They're at the Bistro chatting to Debbie. Nick goes off for a shite and Debbie chats about the tough time that they're having recently, which seems to get Leanne all nostalgic for when she ran the place with Nick, when it was Nick's Bistro. Toya is in Dev's buying coffee for Imran, who's practically hooked to the stuff now because of all the late nights that he's having, and Dev isn't surprised what we're trying to get Kelly off. And Toya takes a hump at this and leaves, and then she bumps into Leanne outside, and Leanne is a bit sick of this woman of leisure lifestyle that she's had for a week.
She's sick of all the massages and painting classes and Reiki that they've been doing.
Then Nick rolls up in his old Rover 75. Come on you, it's photography course in town time. He's got that fucking car back. At the factory, Beth has given Toya a hard time about being the senior Knicker flogger when Nick...
Beth! Yay, Beth!
When Nick comes in wearing a leather jacket.
Yes, it's Sarah's skirt.
And even though he doesn't work at the factory anymore, he's at the factory. And he's at a loose end, and it turns out that he's not ready for retirement neither, but he thinks that Leanne is having a ball.
Right.
So Toya sees the two of them, having heard both of them, and they're obviously not speaking to each other because plot. So she takes Nick to the pub and gives him a list of other activities he and Leanne can try. Nick is unimpressed as Leanne comes in, and they both learn that the other one hates all this knowledge attainment and broadening their horizons and bettering themselves
And relaxation.
And now Toya nips off for a shite and leaves them to it. Leanne has an idea of how they can better fill their time, and she doesn't mean get in their hole.
Unfortunately.
On Wednesday, Nick and Leanne are in the Bistro. Leanne has a million questions about the menu for Debbie, and Debbie is just not in the mood. What are the specials?
There are no specials.
There's no specials.
Because a special is just whatever we had from...
Left over
with a sauce on it to hide the smell.
I have the fish burger. What's the fish? Tasty fish.
Good, tasty, tasty fish.
So Leanne orders Big to throw some money at them. Privately, she thinks the Bistro might be in bother if Debbie is waiting tables. Nick wants to know what the deal is here.
Not wrong. Why doesn't she have wait staff?
Well, the place has been constantly closed.
She has Curtis. She has
Curtis
Daniel.
is dead in the funeral parlour, sleeping to the back with the corpses.
No, it's like...
We established this last week.
No, it's like we get at Bernie's. Curtis is dead behind the bar. They've just propped him up back there.
Debbie's using them as a draft excluder. So Neil?
We are horrible people.
The character Neil is invented.
Wasn't there? There was a Neil at one point, wasn't there?
Yeah, he was a paedophile, I think. Nick wants to know what the deal is.
That's two pedophile jokes in one podcast
but he was.
episode.
He was Kayla's dad from the whole Bethany thing. But he was... No, you're right. I remember this. Right.
But still, it's funny that we mentioned pedophiles.
Right. Hilarious that we mentioned him. So Leanne shares her idea with him. Leanne pitches buying the Bistro, thinking it's the ideal project to throw themselves into, and Nick's kind of worried that they're going to be they're all worn out, they're tired, and it's stress that they don't need. But she thinks that this is exactly what she needs to focus on, that she'd rather come home tired through this.
Right, through something that she really wants to do, and not just filing Imran's files and using Adam's stapler to staple things.
There's better things to do than verbing Imran's nouns. Nick is convinced and writes down
I know
the
a lot of people who would like to verb Imran's nouns.
You're looking at one of them. Nick is convinced. I'm joking. I'm joking.
You're not, and it's okay.
If I absolutely had to. Nick is convinced and
Twist
writes
your arm.
Nick is convinced and writes an offer down that he leaves in the, what do you call that? The wallet that the bill goes in?
Like the billfold?
That'll do. Debbie and Leanne continue to not get on. So Debbie has deliberately ignored the offer, thinking it was just a joke. She doesn't
Right.
appreciate having Imran's secretary coming in telling her how to run her business. Thank you very much. Nick promises to go away and come back with a better offer.
Yeah.
So they do. They come back with a new offer. Debbie's not for selling, but offers them 50%, and she writes the number down because she knows that's how Nick and Leanne like to operate.
Right.
Love that.
Yes, me
Love it.
too. Debbie is just
Nick and Leanne are
Debbie
appalled.
is just one of the best things on the street right now.
Nick and Leanne are appalled and leave, but they're playing a game, so Debbie, trying to hide her desperation, promises to make a better offer, and that's as far as we get with that this week. Yes, Debbie, now that Debbie is not involved in the stupid
Right. Knock down the street.
Coronation Towers storyline,
Right.
and we've all kind of forgotten about that.
We've all forgiven her because she's given people houses and stuff.
She is,
She's a delight.
she is the kind of the quiet star in the middle of all this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that when she's got a storyline and when she's got some other characters to bounce off.
Right.
Like,
She's like Nina
right.
and Danny
But if you give
and Ronnie.
if you give Debbie Leanne as a business partner,
Oh, yeah.
that's going to happen all the time.
Yeah?
And it's going to be amazing.
It's going to be great. The two of them together.
Nick, whatever.
Chef's kiss. And
But-
then Nick will be in the middle trying to... It'll be like Nick with Sarah and Carla all over again.
Right. Yeah, probably.
Only one of them he's actually sleeping with and neither one of them are his sister.
It puts Nick back in the bistro, which is good. 'Cause
Yes.
that's where his heart lies, I think.
Yes.
And we move the monopoly table of Coronation Street property ownership
Around a little bit.
45 degrees or whatever, just to move everything around a little bit. But I think it's the potential of that is great. But
Yes.
I also like the fact that the bistro is kind of quiet because it's normally busy.
Uh-huh.
But it's been shut for the longest time after the whole skyscraper thing and COVID.
Right. And everything is quiet and shut because when we were at Speed Doll, Daisy makes snide comments about how quiet and empty it is.
Right.
So everything's still quiet and empty except the Rovers, I guess.
Right.
And even that's,
Yeah.
you know, it's
I think
Johnny,
that's picking
Daniel,
up.
and Daisy, and that's about it.
Yeah. When you look at the classics and the bar is filled with like 5 different storylines.
Right.
Are in the bar at the same time.
Yeah.
The camera just moves
Right.
from one area to the next
And that's great.
in one shot.
And that's great.
And 5 stories update.
I hope that people start wearing their masks and getting vaccinated so we can get back to things like that.
Right.
Wear your mask and get vaccinated, people.
Yeah, and I'm also glad that Debbie went for the 50% option rather than selling up completely, because if she sells up completely, well,
That makes Debbie, that takes Debbie completely off the street.
it does, and it also negates the whole point of getting the one-up on Ray Weinstein.
Right. Exactly. Sorry, you're keeping me up. But not
So-
like that.
So, yeah, a lot of potential here. So what didn't you like about it then? Just the fact that
Just the
Leanne's not
fact
catching a
that,
break?
that Jane and Ben should really be still on vacation.
Right. I keep on saying this on Twitter, and I keep on wanting to at Jane Danson. I don't always like atting this.
Right.
I do it occasionally, but
Right. And sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't.
sometimes it doesn't.
It worked out with the whole Dollywood thing.
it really did.
But the thing with me, you know, adding Charlie DeMello about hoping that he gets headhunted by the Bridgerton casting director, that didn't work out. Unfortunately.
You take your wins, you take your losses, you move on.
Hit and miss.
But yeah, I've wanted to do that, but maybe she's kind of happy to be what. So
He probably feels about us the way Adam Driver feels about
John Oliver,
Todd
yeah.
Oliver at this point.
And George Clooney feels about John Oliver.
It's a joke.
It also happens to be true.
We're also happily married to
Our
each other.
Final storyline today is we need to talk about Hope.
Yes, we do.
On Monday, Ty's moving back in the flat when Evelyn comes along wondering where Fizz has gone, leaving her with Ruby, which is... yeah, I'm glad that we're addressing the fact that Evelyn is left looking after
Alone
Ruby.
with Ruby.
Right. Ty says that she's off to help Scylla, who has an osteoporosis flare-up. You don't want to know how I've spelled osteoporosis in my notes.
Wrong.
Yes, is the short answer. Evelyn clearly doesn't believe him, but doesn't say anything and leaves a bag of dog shit on his suitcase.
I loved that.
Yeah, I
that
loved
was
it too.
so good. That was just...
So funny.
Love that.
The way that he stares at it like he just expected it. It's like she leaves dog shit for him
Right,
all the time. Fizz calls Tyrone from a horrible bedsit in Manchester. Hope is fine and hasn't tried to kill anyone in 24 hours. He explains the lies that he told to Evelyn, who's sniffing around looking for the truth.
Now, wouldn't it have made everything so much easier if she really had just gone to Scylla's like she and Tyrone? Because didn't she say last week that that's where they were going? Mm-hmm. Why didn't she just do that?
Right. Back at the flat, Tyrone pretends that Alina's keys were in his other jacket pocket. Alina promises to call the police and put them straight, that Fizz can't have had anything to do with the fire after all, but none of this changes the fact that someone wants to hurt them, and it must have been someone that they know. And Tyrone's like, oh fuck yeah, I suppose so. So PC Tinker goes to see Tyrone and Alina because of Alina's concerns about them being targeted. PC Tinker wants names and suggests maybe the human trafficking folks might be back looking for revenge. And poor Alina hasn't even considered this.
I know.
And now is fucking terrified.
She really is.
PC Tinker has...
That would have made a much more interesting storyline if that had actually been what had happened.
Yeah, well,
That would have been much more interesting.
It calls back to a warning.
Right.
This is why Alina shouldn't be in the area.
Right.
She was told to go home.
Right. Yeah, she was put in witness protection for Pete's sake.
So PC Tinker has gone off to conduct some investigations. Everyone is still in jail apart from Rachel, who's managed to get out because she apparently was a more
Model
useful
prisoner.
No, she was a useful witness, so she got a shorter jail
Sentence.
term. The two of them are...
And she's also pissed that nobody told her. And she's got a fair point.
Yeah, and Craig's like, yeah, somebody should have told you.
Anyway.
So, I'll leave you two to it. The two of them are not safe so long as Rachel is free and has access to boxes of matches, says Alina. So Wednesday, Alina is up trying to find Rachel online, still sure that her life is in danger. And rather than come clean, Ty suggests that they move into number 9 while Fizz is away because someone looking for her won't think to cross the road. At the horrible bedsit, Hope is not in a good mood and is throwing stuff at Fizz while she's on the phone to Ty, and Fizz doesn't do anything to stop that happening.
No, and it's absolutely ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. So Ty and Fizz compare notes about Rachel and the fire, and they floats the idea of moving into the house, which Fizz has to agree to. At number 9, Evelyn masks her disgust at Alina and Tyrone moving in and sleeping in Fizz's bed. Her sympathies lie with Fizz and the kids, and meanwhile Alina has been asking her old nail bar contacts about the location of Rachel.
Yeah, and none of them had known that Rachel was out either.
No. On the street, though, Alina sees Rachel at the salon and freezes on the spot. Alina accuses her of trying to set her on fire, but Rachel had nothing to do with that. She's only here to try and find out what really happened. Look, I didn't do anything to hurt you. And Alina says, you fucking sex trafficked me, or nail trafficked me. And Rachel's like,
well, yeah, apart from that. And it's really weird that she's heard about this arson thing.
Well, the police went to her.
Right. She's heard. Well, that's not the weird part. The weird part is that after she hears about this, she comes back to the street to play detective trafficker and get to the bottom of this for Alina. Mm-hmm. Why? Just so Alina will see her on the street and confront her. That's why.
Mm. So back home, Tyrone has been sitting on some information. Rachel had a hospital appointment at the time of the fire and was on CCTV, so it couldn't have been her that set fire to the house.
She had a hospital appointment in the middle of the night? Or in the late evening?
That wasn't that late. It was still daytime.
Hope was in bed and Tyrone had gone off to go drinking with Kirk.
It was still daylight.
It was nighttime.
It wasn't. It was daylight. It was broad daylight.
It wasn't broad daylight.
It was.
Hope was in bed. It was bedtime.
Yeah, because I go to bed at 7 o'clock. It was daylight. It wasn't late at all. She had a hospital appointment. Shut up.
That's not broad daylight.
Alina is more
Nobody
worried
goes to
now
the doctor at 7.
because her arsonist is unknown again. Who could have done this? Who indeed? Asks Evelyn.
And Tyrone. Like, I don't know. It's a mystery to me.
Stop looking at me. On Friday, Tyrone is stalling Evelyn, who's trying to get in touch with Fizz. Alina slept better despite being in Fizz's bed. She hopes she can stay here for longer as she can't face the flat until the arsonists are caught. Ty hurriedly leaves for work. So with Ty gone, Alina and Evelyn chat about her miscarriage and the fire. Alina is worried that Tyrone isn't giving himself enough time to grieve here. And Evelyn says that Ty must really love Alina to give up what he has for her. And she suggests that do an act of remembrance for the dead baby.
Yes.
Which Alina thinks is a lovely idea.
Right. And then she's weirded out by the fact that Evelyn's being nice to her.
Right. So she goes to the garage and floats the idea to Ty. She also wants them to be honest with each other. They don't have a relationship without honesty. He agrees, but as soon as she leaves, he takes a call from Fizz. Evelyn grabs Chesney on the street. Ches hasn't been able to reach Fizz either. Alina overhears this and finds it curious that Ty is the only one able to get in touch with her. Evelyn gets Scylla's number from Chesney and gives her a call and learns that Fizz, she ain't there after all.
Right, and Chesney is pissed off because he's been wanting to go down and visit his mother and she keeps putting him off. It's like, what the
Poor
fuck?
Chesney.
She'll see Fizz, but not me.
Yeah.
Come on, Chesney.
This is entirely in keeping off
Come on.
Scylla, by the way. Back home, Evelyn has had enough of Ty's shite and demands to know where the fuck is Fizz, so Tyrone is forced to explain the lies, that Fizz has run off with Hope because it was Hope who started the fire. This isn't news to Evelyn, who makes the point that the wee girl needs to get help, and she and Fizz need to get home today and sort this shite out.
Yes.
Meanwhile, Alina is waiting alone for Tyrone in the community garden.
Yes.
With a wee bunch of flowers.
Right. And
that's fucking heartbreaking.
Tyrone's like, well, no, I have to go see Alina in the garden. And Evelyn is like, no, this is more important. And it's kind of like, well, is it?
Is it? Can this mystery not...
Can he at least spend 5 minutes with Alina, put the flowers down, yes, very sad, kiss, kiss, and then go get Fizz?
So Ty calls Fizz on speakerphone, and the two of them, Ty and Evelyn, make a plea for Fizz to come home. Evelyn points out that they're only going to end up in more trouble the longer that they stay away. They need to come home so Hope can get the help that she needs.
Yes.
Fizz... That's I kind of skimmed over it. After she throws something at Fizz, there's also a kind of cut back where she shouts that she hates it here. She demands to speak to Daddy. Right. And then she's basically ripping paper with a crayon that she's using so hard that she's...
They're not allowing any nuance for that poor child now at this point, are they? They're just like, nope, she doesn't care. There's nothing. There's no empathy whatsoever.
She's dead behind the eyes now.
Is a sociopath.
They need to come home so Hope can get the help that she needs. So Fizz and Hope do come home, and it seems to take them like 30 seconds to do so. Alina sees this from round the corner and quickly phones Craig to grass Fizz up. So Fizz is just settling in back home, explaining that she's scared of Hope sometimes. Yeah, no kidding. When there's a knock at the door and it's PC Tinker with DS Fringe.
Yes, Fred Armisen in a wig is back.
Hello, 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 says Craig. What's all this then? Fizz says DS Fringe, you're lifted. And Tyrone says, Alina, watch on from the other side of the street. And then Fizz says, Alina, bet you're loving this, she says. Ty quietly tells Fizz that this is her chance to go and do the right thing. Fizz is scared as she's taken away, and Ty is furious at Alina, and it looks like it works both ways. Alina can't understand why he's still protecting Fees. He insists that he isn't, but she storms off anyway, and eventually catches up with her at the community garden. She's hurt that he chose his old family over his new family, Fizz over her. So Tyrone is forced to admit that it was Hope what started the fire.
Right.
At the police station, DS Fringe is questioning Fizz. Why did she run off and why did she lie about it? Fizz explains that she panicked. Well, let's be having the truth now, says DS Fringe, whose manner has improved considerably since she first interviewed Yasmin. Somebody must have filled out like a comment card or something.
Right, yes, at some point.
Back in the community garden, Ty says Hope was jealous and didn't know that Alina was in the flat. So Alina recaps for us, which I'm glad that she did, but I wish that she hadn't. Alina says that a 10-year-old stole her keys, broke into her flat, stole a toy and set fire to a cot, and all this was a cry for help.
Yes.
None of this makes any sense, says Alina and the audience.
Well, it does make sense because we know Hope better than Alina does, obviously. It's like, well, yes, she's been known to set fires to things. This is not the first time she set fires to things.
This is fucked up, and she thinks Fizz is just covering. Ty says that wouldn't happen, and Fizz is putting things right at the moment. Alina says that she's lost her baby because of this, and there's no putting that right. Ty floats the idea that maybe the fire wasn't 100% responsible for this.
Right, which everybody has been saying.
Right. But this wasn't the right time to say that.
No.
And this is enough for Alina to say, "You're fucking dumped," she says.
Yeah, we're done.
In the same place where they shared their first kiss.
Kismet.
So meanwhile, back home, Hope is playing He Loves Her Not, and is pleased to land on Not.
Yeah.
And she tells Ruby, and Ruby thinks this is hilarious.
Yes.
Evelyn sees this and is shocked by Hope's lack of remorse. Hope thinks that this is all going to be worth it if Daddy and Mummy get back together again.
Right, and she also does the Todd thing and says, "I've said sorry a million times.
Yeah, what you want
Get
from
over
me?"
it, people."
Right. Later, Evelyn explains Hope's lack of remorse to Ty, who explains that he and Alina have now broken up. He blames himself, but Evelyn says Hope was fucked up long before he started sowing his wild oats.
Yes.
Then DS Fringe arrives for some reason and tells him that Fiona has confessed to starting the fire and can expect some jail time. And that's how we end this week's episode.
And Evelyn sits down heavily on the couch because they're all like, "Oh, you're here to get Hope."
Right. No,
Nope.
we're going to have to... Evelyn says that she doesn't have to worry about red rum being written on her bedroom door anymore. Oh, no, I'm just kidding. I love the girl.
Right, yeah. And she does. She loves those girls. But
Right.
because Fizz loves Hope, but is also terrified of her.
Here's a question for you. Was this storyline started at the start, or was it started at the end?
What do you mean?
Was this storyline started with the idea that they had in mind was Fizz goes away for a while, or was it started with Tyrone has a midlife crisis and an affair? Because I'm starting to wonder if this is the ending was in mind, because Alina and Tyrone have now split up.
Yeah.
And Fizz is going to go to jail. So for Fizz to go to jail, why would she go to jail? Well, let's say that she's taking the rap for Hope.
Right.
Because Hope did something. Hope set fire to something. What did she set fire to? Oh, she set fire to Alina's flat because Alina's now having a relationship with Tyrone. And let's say that she got pregnant and has a miscarriage because of the fire. And so they split up. You see? So it all kind of goes back to the fact that let's put
Tyrone
and Alina together.
Yeah.
Or did it start with Tyrone and Alina together and let's see how it develops? Because I suspect it was the former. If Fizz is going away for a while, and the fact that Alina and Ty have split up, if they have split up. They've split up for now.
They split up. We knew once that baby was no longer in the picture, they were going to split up. Because before the baby was in the picture, we were like, this isn't going to last very long because they have nothing in common.
Right.
And they were starting to realize that.
They were proving it week in, week out that they have nothing in common.
Yeah. I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced that Fizz is going away for a while.
I'm not sure either, but if she does...
Because Evelyn and Tyrone have got to say, nope, this. She can't take the rap for Hope. And say, no, Hope did it. Because Evelyn, from the very beginning, and I think Tyrone at this point now as well, realize Hope really needs help. Needs actual help.
Especially this week, from what we've seen of her.
Right. Yeah,
she's out of control.
There's no...
Fizz isn't trying to control her, though. That's the thing.
Right. She's not trying to control her, and for some reason, she's got it in her mind that she has to protect Hope from getting better because she doesn't want Hope to be labeled as an arsonist and a sociopath.
Right.
But if she doesn't do something, if she doesn't get her help, it's just going to get worse. And it's frustrating because she did go away to get help already once before.
Which is how she ran into Jade.
She went away to Scotland, as everyone does.
Oh, no, it was Birmingham.
Right, yeah. But it may as well have been Scotland because that's where people tend
Birmingham,
to go on
Scotland,
the show. Right. Yeah, remember when Daniel went to quote end quote Scotland?
Yeah, and
it was just like up the hill.
And in the moors. Yeah, she's burying her head in sand about it.
Right.
But
And
Tyrone...
Hope is going to freak out if Fizz goes to prison. Hope's not going to be happy because the whole point is to
Mummy and
get
Daddy to be back
Mummy
together.
and Daddy to be back together. And if Mummy's in prison, then Mummy and Daddy can't get back together.
Right.
So something's going to happen.
Here's what I liked more than I expected was, and I think I kind of almost touched on this last week, was Alina throughout this, and especially last week, and especially this week, when she's been figuratively on her own. You know, she's been with Ty, but she's wanting
Right.
different things. Well, she wants to know who's trying to kill her, and no one
Right.
else seems particularly bothered by this, and she's bothered by it, and she's bothered by the fact that no one else is bothered by it.
Right.
And I don't know, she looks really gone, and she looks like she's not sleeping,
Right.
and she looks consumed by this.
Right.
And she's getting no sympathy really from anybody to
No.
speak of, and she's just been kind of abandoned.
Yeah.
And her being this abandoned character this week has absolutely made me empathise with her far more than I'd
Really?
done before. Yeah, because I felt she was a kind of empty character before. We didn't really know anything about her.
Right.
And anything that we did know about her seemed to be wrong
Right.
based on how this relationship
And
went,
then all of a
went
sudden
out.
she became this giggly mess and stuff. There
Right.
does seem...
And that was awful.
Yeah. And there still does seem to be a bit of a petulant child about Alina, that, you know, she gets the keys back and everything. And the police say, we will handle this. And she doesn't want to let the police handle things.
Yeah, well, somebody set fire at your flat.
I wouldn't be like going around and calling Craig every 5 seconds when I think that somebody's
Well,
done something wrong.
You'd call a competent police person, right?
For one thing, I don't have any police officers on speed dial on my phone, which
No.
Alina seems to have Craig
Is that
number.
0 days since Craig last broke police protocol by taking a police matter on his personal phone? One has to assume. Craig, police people do leave you a little card.
Right.
So maybe it was that. But
Who knows?
speed dial. Speed dial? Speed
Speed dial.
Oh, I've just got that. No, I knew that. I'm kidding.
You sure?
Yeah. No, I did. I felt...
There still seems to be. I'm not as empathetic to Alina at this point as you are. I am empathetic towards. It was like the saddest thing in the world seeing her.
It really was.
Sitting in that garden by herself when Tyrone was supposed to be there.
But she's been like that for a week or more.
But yeah, I guess it just annoys me how convinced she is that Fizz did this and that Fizz is jealous and that Fizz wants Tyrone back and that Fizz is
Right.
doing this. That's really annoying because
Right, and
it's
I think-
totally not something Fizz would do.
And I don't think I've mentioned that she thinks that Fizz is... Fizz saying that it's Hope is Fizz covering for herself.
Right, which Fizz would
Right.
never do.
But this is Nina blaming Asha.
No, not really, because Asha didn't set fire to anything. She just sold a laptop. But, you know, and
The laptop was on fire.
and Nina was right that Asha does want to get back together with her. But, you know, because this is kind of like the stuff before with Alina, with the whole, getting jealous of Tyrone, getting upset about Fizz stuff and blaming Fizz for it instead of blaming Tyrone, the person right there.
Right. Yeah.
And then the whole, you know, she wrote that article and now we have to write an article because now people think I'm awful when people already thought she was awful because she stole Tyrone.
Yeah,
which she
but
didn't
that
really
whole-
steal Tyrone.
that whole side of it and the whole childishness of not expecting your partner to have a relationship with his ex when there's children involved
Right.
and they live in the same street.
Right.
It's not...
Yeah.
It's unusual to, I guess, to hear someone have that opinion that should
Right.
be. But then she says in the next breath that she expects him to have a relationship with the girls and stuff.
Right, yeah.
But
She
this
doesn't
week
seem to
particularly-
understand that having a relationship with the girls means that he has to have a sort of a relationship with Fizz as well.
Right.
And again, this seems like a personality swap with her, because remember before she was trying to build bridges with Fizz by getting her that job at the factory.
Right.
So it's like, it's still really annoying that Alina is different people on different days.
Yeah. Well,
but we knew that they were going to break up sooner rather than later, so I'm glad that's happened.
Right.
Do you think Fizz and Tyrone are going to get back together?
I don't know. I think Fizz is far too hurt. We can't have a litany of broken relationships get fixed by
putting a Band-Aid over it.
Right, and allowing people back into your life.
Here's what I'm worried about. I'm worried that they're going to get back together just so Hope will stop setting fires.
Right.
It's the whole Jade thing all over again. The only way to stop her is to give her what she wants. Well, no, that makes her do dread. If they had put their foot down with the whole Jade stuff and not given her what she wants, then she wouldn't have said, hey, if I do something awful, it will scare people and they will give me what I want and mommy and daddy will get back together. Mm-hmm. They've taught this child that this is how she gets results. It's their own fault.
Oh, absolutely. Our call a year ago, more than a year ago, of them being the worst parents in the world.
Yes.
I think it was spot on.
Yeah.
It was half and a joke at the time, but it's bang on right now.
And it's awful because you think that they're finally going to do the right thing, and then Fizz does the wrong thing.
Right. Well, that was the week that was Coronation Street.
Yes.
It's a mediocre week, I think, at best. What was your moment of the week?
The dog shit?
No.
Abby making amends with Nina?
Oh, no, because we've done that at least twice before.
Brian mentioning Tim's dad.
No. This, for me, is not so much... Well, it is for this week, but I think it's more the promise of what this could bring us. But my personal favourite moment of the week was the interaction between Leanne and Debbie in the bistro.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the interaction between Shona and Todd.
No.
Trading war stories about brain injuries.
No.
That was really cute, and I liked the whole slide. I've always wanted to do this. Mm-hmm. Slide the thing over.
It's like they've become billionaires or something, right? They have. What new plaything do you have for me?
Right.
Let's pretend to be the kind of person who does this.
Yes.
But Nick, you're already the kind of person who does that. That whole bit for them being the kind of business tourists looking for a new thing to invest in.
Right. And the whole, how fresh, what kind of fish?
Yeah,
Tasty fish.
That whole thing.
Yes. Okay. I am 100% behind that.
Brilliant. That is our
moment of the week.
Moment of the week.
Your boring moment of the week?
Everything else.
No, it was everything else last week, I think.
Roy talking about finding that pot.
It was fairly Roy.
Right, it was very Roy, and it was like, we don't need him to explain where that he bought it at a second-hand shop for the garden.
Yeah,
it was a little bit.
What did you think? This is a Deacon Blue song?
It was a little bit.
Fuck it, Roy. Just get to the point.
It was a little bit too much exposition there.
It was a time filler. That's what it was. Anyway,
it was exposition,
and it was our
boring moment of the week.
It gave him a reason to go to the garden and see it was ruined.
Or was it Johnny?
No, because
Johnny was creepy.
It wasn't boring. It was creepy. There's a difference.
Absolutely, and I'd do well to remember that.
Yes, you should.
Shall we finish up then?
Yes, please.
We've got a Cleveland to get to.
Yes, we got some packing to do.
Have you ever shaved your privates in a public bathroom? I don't want to know.
No
we're
comment.
the talk of the street at gmail.com, and we're at Corrie Podcast on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. What do you mean no comment? You can shout me and Helen a coffee by heading to ko-fi.com, that's ko-fi.com/the talk of the street. Check out the clicky section of voggle.co.uk for links to our merch store and YouTube channel. And if you're so inclined, please leave a rating and a review on the iTunes or your podcast provider of choice. Thanks for making it to the end of another episode, and we will be back next week with more
Talk of
Talk
the
of the Street.
Street.
Cheerio.
Bye.